Hey everyone, today we're diving into the moments where Lois gets exactly what she deserves in Family Guy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and support my channel. Lois sentenced to 3 years in prison in Season 4, Episode 9. Before heading into the supermarket, Lois warned her kids not to stray too far and to stay vigilant as more children get kidnapped in grocery stores than anywhere else.
Hey!
You got me.
Oh, not quick enough.
Not quick enough, no. I was close, though.
You were close.
Later, at the produce section, Lois handed Stewie some plastic bags to hold while she picked out some oranges. Stewie reluctantly held the bags, visibly annoyed, thinking it was a terrible idea to give a child plastic bags. He decided to teach Lois a lesson by trying to suffocate himself, but failed because his head was too big.
Here I go, just like that boy from In Excess.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Blast! Good Lord, Lois, either I was a C-section or you're Wonder Woman.
The family continued shopping. Lois asked Chris to grab some milk cartons, reminding him to take the ones from the back. As Chris reached for the milk, a pale hand beckoned him into the aisle. Chris stepped into a black and white comic book world. Standing next to him was Morton Harkett from the band A-ha, and the iconic song Take On Me started playing. Chris got swept up in the music video storyline. Cornered, Chris managed to escape back to reality, knocking over a stack of eggs in front of the family. Lois asked where he had been, but Chris, equally confused, had no answers.
Chris, where have you been?
I don't know.
At checkout, Lois didn't have enough money, so she decided to return the meat. But as she was about to place it back, she looked around and slipped the meat into her bag. This was the beginning of Lois's descent. Back home, Lois took the meat out of the bag, and Brian, certain he saw her return it, questioned her. Lois claimed she took a different piece, but Brian was sure of his memory. Lois tried to cover up her misdeed by accusing Brian of being too engrossed in a magazine with Glenn Close on the cover to notice, then walked away. Stewie was equally surprised by Brian's intense admiration for Glenn Close, reminiscent of the time Brian dressed in drag.
Ooh, I have so much stuff to do today. I have to do laundry, then I have a piano lesson, then I have to make dinner. I'm so busy. Better hurry.
Lois, I want my graham cracker. Oh.
In a clothing store, Lois's eyes fell on a beautiful dress, but the price tag made her gasp, "Oh my god!" Feeling the dress was too expensive, she intended to return it, but the devil inside her urged her to steal it instead. Lois lost control, frantically stealing clothes and jewelry.
Oh my God, that was such a rush. I'm alive!
That evening, the Griffins had dinner with Joe and Bonnie. Joe and Bonnie praised the Griffins for a wonderful evening and admired all the new items. Peter proudly boasted that Lois had bought everything, while Brian eyed Lois suspiciously. Lois gifted Peter a horn, which he immediately used to prank Joe, annoying him.
Just close your eyes. It's a sucker horn! I know what it is!
Bonnie then asked if the painting behind Brian was an original Matisse, prompting Brian to irritably suggest she ask fewer questions to avoid ruining everyone's fun, much like Peter trying to entertain terminally ill children.
Hi there, how y'all doing? All right, so I'm at the DMV the other day. Long lines at the DMV. But you'll find out all about that when you get old.
Brian followed Lois and caught her red-handed stealing a muffler at an auto parts store, feeling this was worse than Winona Ryder's scandal. Lois was offended, thinking Brian called her a kleptomaniac, but he was actually referring to the age of innocence.
Most good.
I'm sorry, but she is just awful. Is there any way, can we add like a topless scene or something?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
We can? Oh, great. All right, we got a movie.
Brian tried to explain that stealing was wrong and urged her to stop. Lois felt guilty, but admitted she enjoyed the thrill of stealing. Brian said the thrill should be enough and urged her to return everything. Lois praised Brian for being a good friend, then distracted him to continue stealing.
Put it back.
Back at Joe's house, he watched the news and tried to recall something upon hearing that a famous painting had been stolen from a museum. The next morning, Brian helped Lois load the stolen items into the car to return them and advised her to see a psychologist to address her issues, mentioning how much Peter had been helped with his obsession with an imaginary world.
Yeah!
You're a little too heavy, buddy.
Yeah!
We're going down.
Yeah!
Yeah.
Just as Brian was relieved that no one had noticed, Joe burst in to arrest Lois. Brian urged Joe to stay calm, assuring him that Lois would cooperate, but Lois had no intention of doing so. She pretended to get her wallet and then drove off. Joe quickly threw a pump hose onto Lois's car and chased after her, smashing the windshield to try to stop the car. After a struggle, they crashed into a fire hydrant and were thrown from the car. Joe woke up and repeatedly punched Lois before arresting her, a fitting consequence for her misdeeds.
Sorry, Lois. Regulations. I can't give you any special treatment.
It's okay, Joe. I understand.
Shut up, maggot!
In court, Lois apologized and was initially pardoned for being a first-time offender. Just as the judge was about to end the session, he couldn't find his gavel. It turned out Lois had stolen it. Furious, the judge sentenced Lois to 2 years in prison. Peter protested, which only increased Lois's sentence. Ultimately, Lois was sentenced to 3 years in prison. The family was shocked by the judge's decision, and Chris felt as sad as when he watched The Blob on TV.
Oh man, I haven't been this upset since I watched The Blob on television. Look out behind you, lady, it's the Blob! I'll save you!
In this episode, Lois's imprisonment was well-deserved, and her terrible actions had plunged her family into extreme hardship. A week later, the house was a mess, with trash piling up and flies everywhere. Peter was especially filthy, looking like a caveman, with mustard from the previous week still on him. Stewie was the most pitiful, as no one was taking care of him.
There's so much duty in here. I can't take it anymore. I haven't eaten in 4 days because I just can't fit any more in there.
The family visited Lois, who was delighted and asked about home. Peter complained that things were terrible without her, as he had to do everything she did, including attending book club meetings.
Here's another thing. The book can also be a hat.
Brian still couldn't believe Lois had to serve 3 years, but Lois accepted it as a time to reflect on her actions and what led to her habits. She thought her previous life was too boring and repetitive. Lois believed she had to stay to pay for her actions, but Peter said no. He had a plan to get her out. The family successfully sneaked Lois past the guards.
I think I got an idea of how to smuggle you out.
Bye-bye. Take care now. Have a nice day.
But the alarm went off, and they hurried into a white car. In the car, Lois warned that they were now accomplices, while Brian struggled to sit still because he was a dog.
What the hell is wrong with you?
I'm a dog, all right? I have a very tough time standing up in the car.
Peter encouraged the family to stick together and start a new life. They stopped in an Asian neighborhood where Peter humorously mistook passersby for Jackie Chan.
Always nice to meet a fan of my movies. Oh my god, you're Ethan Hawke!
No, I'm not.
Sorry, my mistake. Oh my god, it's Ethan Hawke!
Mom, can we go get some food?
Oh my god, it's Malcolm in Middle!
I'm not a boy.
Yes, you are.
They found a house, but the kids complained that it wasn't as good as their old one. Peter encouraged everyone, reminding them that they had been through tougher times. He even brought up the time Meg discovered her gynecologist didn't have a license.
All right, Meg, let's take a look at that vagina.
Peter urged them to find suitable jobs. Peter interviewed to be a sumo wrestler, confidently claiming he was born to be an athlete like Greg Louganis. You might think they'd joke about diving injuries, but no, this time they went big with a joke about hairlessness.
Brian?
Hi, I'm Greg Louganis. I'm totally shaven.
Terrific. Terrific.
In a surprising, satirical, and funny scene, Stewie worked in an Asian shoe factory.
Damn. I say, I seem to have sewn a shoe to my hand. May I go to the nurse?
Replace him!
Ah!
Faster!
Chris became a rickshaw puller, annoying his customers with endless chatter until they stopped responding. At Joe's house, when the sumo wrestling show began, Peter was thrown out of the ring in less than 5 seconds.
Boy, you put on weight, Jackie Chan.
Oh my god!
Did you walk?
The Griffins were watching TV when Peter returned. Each family member took turns watching for the police, and it was Chris's turn to replace Meg. Brian lamented giving up their previous life, but Peter encouraged him, saying that change is always good. Stewie agreed with Peter, reminiscing about his enjoyable trip to Nebraska, the largest corn-producing state in the US.
Anybody see any good movies lately?
No,
Not really, no.
Anything new with corn?
Oh, yeah, corn.
corn.
Oh, yeah, corn. You bet.
Corn, absolutely. Corn, yeah, absolutely.
Corn is always interesting.
Chris informed Lois that Joe was visiting, prompting the family to flee. Joe chased after them. After jumping over a fence, the Griffins thought they had lost Joe.
Ah, yes, a fence. The cripple's natural enemy.
But he continued the pursuit using a plane. Lois urged everyone to hide in the sewer. Smelling the stench, Stewie immediately jumped onto Chris's shoulders. Peter, thinking Stewie's idea was good, jumped onto Brian's back, making him uncomfortable but compliant. Peter remarked that this was worse than the time he met Carl Malden.
You know, Carl, I got virtually nothing here, you know?
Look, I don't see what the problem is.
No, you wouldn't, would you? Now, look, all I'm saying is I got the raw end of the deal.
You invited me over.
Yeah, well, now I'm regretting it.
Above, Joe fired 2 missiles into the sewer entrance and flew straight in. Meanwhile, the Griffins reached a fork in the sewer and were unsure which way to go. Peter asked the Goonies, who appeared out of nowhere, for directions. Before leaving, Peter made Chunk perform the humorous Truffle Shuffle dance.
Childhood obesity.
Lois felt remorseful and didn't want to drag her family into trouble anymore, deciding to turn herself in. At that moment, Joe descended from his plane and lunged at Lois but missed, putting himself in danger. Lois quickly ran to help him.
Joe, you're too heavy. I can't hang on.
Pretend I'm your child, Lois. Nutmeg, nutmeg.
Joe thanked Lois for saving his life, and the Griffins returned to their previous life. Lois thanked Joe for working with the court to keep her out of prison. Peter, missing his sumo wrestling rival from the Asian neighborhood, reenacted a match for Chris by wrestling with Brian.
1, 2, 3.
Ah, what the hell? What the hell?
Brian, I'm sorry.
No, you know what? It's not cool, Peter. It's not cool.
The Threat of Infidelity in Season 5, Episode 13. The Griffin family decides to spend their weekend at the aquarium. Peter, however, is preoccupied with the racist sunflower in their backyard.
Hey, boy, don't you come walking by this house. You're ignorant.
The Griffins are watching a model of the lost city of New Orleans. Meanwhile, in another corner, Stewie is plotting a prank with 2 starfish.
Hey, Brian, look, I'm a stripper. I'm working my way through college. I should be more reluctant to take my clothes off, but I'm not because my stepfather had boundary issues.
Peter is also up to mischief, drawing extra teeth and eyebrows on a giant octopus and even poking the glass to create pimples on it. Unfortunately, his antics break the tank and the octopus wraps itself around Peter. Luckily, Seamus is nearby to save him.
Wow, that was awesome, Mr. Seamus.
Ah, it was nothing. That's how I caught old Woody over there.
The next day, Brian is watching the news about the new president, Bill Clinton, visiting town to judge the annual Mrs. Kankle USA of Quahog contest.
Now that's a cankle. Where does the calf fat end and the ankle fat begin? Who knows? That's the fun.
Peter decides to hit the gym, surprising Lois. He explains that after the aquarium incident, he realized he's fat and clumsy and needs to get in shape for round 2 with the octopus.
Ready for round 2, man? I got all day. Hey, is that your wife?
At the gym, Peter runs into his friends. To his surprise, they also work out there. Quagmire is spotting Cleveland when a beautiful girl walks by, distracting him and leaving Cleveland hanging.
It's all you. It's all you. It's all. Hey.
Glenn.
Will you guys quiet down? I'm trying to concentrate on my cardio.
Peter seems serious about his workout, hiring a personal trainer, but he's not pleased with the 2 trainers who prefer working out to new jazz music.
That's what you should have for breakfast. Delicious. Steak and eggs and steak. Just making sure you heard. I got it.
In the evening, everyone gathers in the dining room. Meg loudly announces she's writing a letter to her boyfriend. Dear boyfriend, thank you for playing with me a few times as I wished. It was wonderful. The flowers you sent me are beautiful, just like your compliments. Love, Meg. This annoys Chris, who compares her to people in Starbucks who publicly write everything on their laptops.
Hey, getting some writing done there, buddy?
Yeah, setting up in public so everybody can watch me type my big screenplay.
Me too. All real writers need to be seen writing, otherwise what's the point, right?
You should totally write that down.
Okay, will you watch me?
Peter returns home, boasting about his sweaty chest. Brian points out that he's only been to the gym once and for just 15 minutes. To prove his newfound strength, Peter snaps Meg's poor laptop in half. Stewie, unimpressed, mocks his dad, comparing him to the deformed artist John Merrick on Match.com.
There's no way you're a size 6.
As Peter is basking in his 15-minute achievement, there's a knock on the door. It's Clinton's bodyguards. Coincidentally, their car tire blew out right in front of Peter's house, and they need a jack to fix it. Still high on his delusions of strength, Peter eagerly offers to be the jack himself. Clinton thanks Peter and explains the tire blew out due to overload.
All right, girls, I've turned off the AC. First one to have a bead of neck sweat reach their butt crack wins.
Peter, showing off his gym skills, tries to lift the car, but ends up breaking his back.
Lift with your lower back in a jerking, twisting motion. Ah!
Peter!
Oh my God!
Call an ambulance!
All right, so which one of y'all ain't got my herpes yet?
At the hospital, Peter laments that he thought he was just fat, but now he realizes he's also old. President Clinton unexpectedly visits Peter, who got injured while fixing his car. Meg excitedly asks for a photo with Clinton, resulting in a bizarre picture.
You know where I got that nipple ring? Old Straddling Madeline Albright gave it to me.
Peter shares with Clinton that he's sad about not being young anymore. Clinton encourages Peter, saying, "You'll feel young when you feel young." Finally, he says something presidential. He even promises to help Peter feel young again, gifting him a saxophone tune to speed up his recovery, which Meg enjoys more than Peter.
You can have me.
President Clinton kept his promise and took Peter on a quest to relive his youth. They hit up a mall to try out all the kid stuff. Clinton showed Peter how to play Dance Dance Revolution, but it was a disaster. So Clinton took over, dancing and singing Barbie Girl.
I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world, wrapped in plastic. It's fantastic. Come on, Barbie, let's go party. Yeah.
Whoa, who knew the president had moves like that? Back home, they prank called Linda Tripp, though Clinton totally messed it up, but it didn't matter because hanging out with Bill made Peter feel 20 years younger. Peter asked what was next, and Bill replied, "We're going to Mars, buddy." And that's when things got out of hand. They partied in a limo, and when Peter got hungry, Bill had the crazy idea to steal a pig from a roadside farm for a snack.
Who's there?
Oh crap, go, 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 go!
Doggone it. If he wanted a pig, why didn't he just take my wife?
The next morning, Lois found Peter passed out on the kitchen floor. He tried to make coffee for her, but when he opened the cupboard, the pig burst out, causing chaos. Lois demanded to know what happened last night. Peter recounted their wild adventure. Lois warned Peter that hanging out with the former president was a bad influence and banned him from seeing Clinton again. Peter refused and stormed off. Determined, Lois decided to have a private talk with Bill Clinton. She went to his hotel and said, "I need to talk to you," but the next scene showed them in bed together.
Wow, you certainly are very persuasive.
So I've been told. Hey, you want to give me that cigar? I'm ready to smoke it now.
Just then, Peter walked in to invite Clinton bowling and caught his wife cuddling with Bill. Lois had no way to explain her mistake except to list Bill's past achievements, but Peter wasn't buying it. He realized Clinton's dark, shady side. Lois tried to apologize, but Peter left to stay at Quagmire's house. Lois felt like an even worse wife than Lorena Bobbitt, who famously caused a scandal in America.
I've been a worse wife than Lorena Bobbitt when she was married to the Thing.
Oh my God, where is it? Where'd she throw it? Oh God, oh God!
Is this what you're looking for?
At Quagmire's house, Peter was devastated by Lois's betrayal. Quagmire tried to cheer him up with some of his usual pervy antics, but Peter wanted to handle this on his own. He hadn't judged anyone this harshly since his last health checkup.
All right. The doctor will be in a few minutes.
Lois showed up at Quagmire's looking for Peter. She had a wild plan to fix their relationship. Not wanting to lose Peter, she suggested he sleep with another woman to even the score.
You wanna get me laid?
Yes, Peter.
She was convinced this idea was better than the invention of the first telephone. Back home, Lois and Peter discussed who Peter should sleep with. Peter wanted to drop the whole thing, but Lois insisted. Under Lois's pressure, Peter admitted he wanted to sleep with Babs, Lois's mom, because she was incredibly hot. Peter hadn't been this flustered by a woman's beauty since he got to adjust Uma Thurman's lazy eye in Pulp Fiction.
So you can go ahead and say what you're going to say? And my natural response could be to get offended. Then, through no fault of my own, I wouldn't have kept my promise.
Hang on! Okay.
The next day, Peter and Lois visited Lois's mom. Her dad was furious about the noise while he was watching a movie, so Lois quickly made an excuse for the three of them to go upstairs. In the bedroom, Lois explained her marital problems and said the only solution was for her mom to sleep with Peter. Surprisingly, her mom agreed. It turned out she was lonely because her husband had lost all interest. Lois sadly left the room to give Peter and her mom some privacy. But then, the unexpected happened. Peter ran after Lois, saying he didn't want to hurt her and didn't care that she slept with Bill. More importantly, he loved her deeply.
Oh, Peter!
Why are you naked in my house?
Why aren't you?
You're all right, Griffin.
They went home and continued their discussion. Their marriage had faced many challenges, but they had always worked hard to overcome them together. Peter decided he needed to talk things out with Clinton. However, when he met Bill at the hotel, Peter ended up sleeping with him too.
Hey, listen, Bill, you and I need to have a talk. Boy, you are good. You are really good.
This seemed like a fitting twist for Lois after everything she had done, and it threw her into a serious loop in this episode. Facing the wrath of Scotty's parents in Season 10, Episode 12, Lois and Peter attend Stewie's class concert. Seeing Stewie chatting happily with a new friend, Lois and a blonde mom named Hope feel delighted and introduce themselves. They hit it off immediately. Hope introduces her husband, Ben. Hope notices her son having a great time with Stewie and suggests a playdate with Lois. Lois agrees, thinking the kids play together like Billy Bob Thornton and his cat.
Look at them. They're getting along like Billy Bob Thornton and his cat.
Billy Bob?
Leave me alone, I'm taking a bath.
While Stewie and Scotty play cards, Peter watches TV. Suddenly, Scotty collapses just as Stewie gets a winning hand. Peter, confused, tells Lois that a kid who isn't Stewie has passed out. Lois rushes in, scoops up Scotty, and demands to know what happened. Peter has no clue. Lois insists on taking Scotty to the hospital. Peter, in his usual fashion, tries to fly them there in his boomerang plane, but fails spectacularly.
Just for the record, I was at the hospital for a brief moment.
At the hospital, the doctor informs them that Scotty is very weak and has Hodgkin's lymphoma. The good news is that the disease is treatable. Ben and Hope arrive after Lois's call, carrying Scotty. Lois apologizes and explains Scotty's condition, but they already knew. Ben scolds Lois for taking Scotty to the hospital. Lois defends her actions, saying Scotty needed treatment after fainting. Ben refuses treatment for Scotty, and Hope explains they are Christian Scientists who don't accept medical care, even for their child. Lois finds this absurd, while Peter is puzzled by Christian Science.
Wait a minute, Christian Science, is that that thing all them gay-bo Hollywood actors do to keep their stuff away from other guys' butts?
Lois tries to convince Scotty's parents that he needs help, but they believe in prayer for healing and leave. Back home, the Griffin family discusses faith, and Lois is frustrated about Scotty's condition. Everyone has different opinions. Brian thinks Ben's family believes illness is an illusion and that their faith must be stronger. Chris disagrees, saying it's ridiculous for a dog to debate religion.
Instead of prattling on about the pros and cons of various religions.
Chris, I think you've had too much sugar cereal.
I think I haven't had enough.
Lois wants to persuade the Jennings again about treating Scotty. Peter and Brian offer to join, but Lois insists Peter keep quiet to avoid his usual nonsense.
Who was King Louis XII?
Oh, I'm sorry, Peter. We were looking for King Louis XI.
Ah, damn it, I knew that. Ah, well, me and the with a big black.
At the Jennings house, they arrive during a prayer session for Scotty and are invited to join. Lois tries to reason with the Jennings as a mother, but they remain uninterested. The Jennings believe they have guidance from the book Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures by Mary Baker Eddy. Brian questions if prayer can really cure all diseases, and the Jennings confidently affirm it. Peter sarcastically remarks that only unemployed clowns need that.
I need 40.
Despite Lois's pleas, the Jennings stick to their faith for a miracle. After some back and forth, Ben asserts that Scotty is their child, so they should decide what's best. Brian suggests they leave, calling it a waste of time, but Lois is still upset, comparing their faith to the madness of 7-day adventurers.
I'm a Methodist. We believe that the Lord is our Savior, and we remember him by going to church and praising him every Sunday.
I'm a Seventh-day Adventist. We believe all the same things that you believe, but we go to church on Saturdays.
What?
At Peter's house, Joe admits there's nothing he can do since no laws are being broken. Lois is outraged, arguing that children are citizens too, but Joe insists it won't hold up in court. They argue about religious freedom in the country until Joe leaves in frustration. Lois turns to Peter, saying they can't let this happen, and debates whether they should kidnap Scotty to get him the help he needs. Ultimately, Lois decides it's better to take the child than watch him die. Peter thinks it's a great idea, like they're doing a public service.
This underachieving, crime-ridden school is now fawn beige, thanks to guilty white people with no weekend plans.
Yay!
Lois dresses like a burglar, while Peter cosplays as Harry Potter, refusing to wear a mask because it's hard to breathe. At the Jennings house, they begin their mission. Peter's dramatic roles make me laugh.
What the hell was that?
That's what you do, Lois.
He then asks Lois to read lines from a script, imagining himself as a real agent every time she gives an order.
Sexy Peter distracting the guards?
Check. Hello, boys. Come up and have sex with me sometime.
Peter up on a telephone pole?
Check.
Back to reality, Peter climbs a ladder to Scotty's room, but mistakenly brings back Ben, who was sleeping. Lois scolds him and orders him to find Scotty. Peter returns and loudly confirms he has Scotty. Lois signals for a quick exit before the Jennings wake up. Lois is thrilled they got Scotty, while Peter is happy about the yellow mess next to Scotty.
All right, we did it!
Yes, we got the kid and the treasure.
Peter, there's no treasure.
Oh, well, never mind then.
At home, Chris, Meg, Brian, and Stewie watch TV when a news report announces a kidnapping at the Jennings house. Mayor West uses advanced technology like multimedia milk cartons to find the boy, but no one cares.
Help me, I'm missing! Help! Why are you still eating breakfast? I'm kidnapped! Why are you turning me the other way? I'm still here!
Brian suspects Lois is the kidnapper. Everyone agrees since Lois loves attention, like the boy who cried wolf.
Charles! Oh my God, I'll run and get help. No, we've got to carry him. We can't leave him here. There's a wolf. There's not really a wolf.
What?
Meanwhile, Lois and Peter reassure Scotty that he's getting the medical help he needs. Lois is excited about their mission, comparing it to Thelma and Louise, but Peter warns her they didn't have a happy ending.
Goodbye, terrible women.
As they near the hospital, they see a crowd and helicopters. Joe tells them they're under arrest for kidnapping and to surrender the boy. Lois pleads with Joe to let them get Scotty treated first, then they'll go to jail. The Jennings arrive, demanding Lois stop and return Scotty. Lois refuses, mocking their faith, angering the crowd.
The Lord can't do everything, you know.
Blasphemy!
Heresy!
Sodomy! Sorry, I don't even know what's going on. How you doing?
She continues with strong arguments, claiming it's God's will, and the Jennings reluctantly agree to let Scotty be treated. Peter excitedly announces the good news to the crowd.
Hey, everybody! We're all gonna get laid!
But it's strange. Although Lois believes she's doing the right thing, she's forcing medical treatment on Scotty against his will, causing his parents great distress. Regardless of who's right about the treatment, Lois certainly deserves the wrath of Scotty's parents. Faced with Meg's wrath in Season 10, Episode 2, a massive storm forces the Griffin family to stay indoors. While listening to the news about the storm, they lose the signal, probably because the satellite dish got blown away. Peter is disappointed as he can only watch G.I. Jose, a popular comic about American soldiers.
Oh no! You cut your forehead! What do we do?
Hey kids, if you have an open wound, get some dirt or kitty litter and rub it in there to stop the bleeding. Then get some sleep and wait for the body to heal itself.
Outside, the rain and wind rage on. Brian sneaks upstairs to get some magic mushrooms, but is caught by Stewie. Peter and Meg are bored out of their minds. Lois suggests playing charades to pass the time. Peter loves the idea and tries to act out a movie title, but ends up speaking, annoying Lois. Peter then suggests everyone sit quietly while he makes sound effects. tracks. His sounds get weirder and weirder, failing to amuse anyone, so he storms off upstairs. Meg complains about having nothing to do, and Peter quickly suggests a game of shootout. Peter, Lois, and Chris have fun until Meg wants to join.
Bang, bang!
I'm gonna finger bang the two of you at the same time. Bang, bang!
Hey, me too! Bang!
Oh, no one wants to get finger banged by you, Meg.
Why don't you just go do that to yourself, Meg?
Peter continued his antics, humming the chase music from Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. His strange humming was interrupted when Meg opened a soda can, making Peter furious. They started arguing, and the family sided with Peter, treating Meg like the black sheep.
Yeah, shut up, Meg!
No! You shut up, Chris! I am sick of all you guys ganging up on me. You guys all think you're so much better than me.
Oh, Meg, that is the least fancy thing I have ever heard.
At this moment, Stewie had just helped Brian snap out of his hallucination, and they were now sipping water in the kitchen. Chris found Peter's humming quite amusing, but for some reason, Meg seemed annoyed. Meg used this as a prime example to show how terrible a brother Chris was for not siding with her. Lois asked Meg to stop, while Peter was just fascinated by the sound of Brian drinking water.
I think Brian's getting a little water in there.
Meg couldn't understand why Chris treated her like an enemy, often saying hurtful things without considering her feelings. She just wished Chris would be a bit nicer, like not joining in the family's bullying of her. Lois, looking irritated, stood up and advised Meg to stop since she had already vented her frustrations. But Meg didn't stop. She shifted her focus to Lois. By this time, Brian was fully alert and greeted everyone, but sensing the negativity, Lois told Brian that Meg was trying to make some points that everyone found unreasonable. Hearing this, Meg got even more upset and accused Lois of pretending to be noble. Stewie watched the argument, comparing it to a man arguing with a black woman. The Italian man told the black woman that she couldn't park there, which made her feel challenged by a natural enemy. She prepared to fight by taking off her rings, while the Italian man looked around to ensure other Italian men saw what was happening.
Sensing the impending battle, a flock of Jews flies quickly away, as avoiding confrontation is their best chance for survival.
Lois believed Meg was trying to blame everyone else for her problems, but Meg retorted, calling Lois a terrible mother, a petty thief, and an adulterer.
Is this coming from my role model mother? The shoplifter, the drug addict, the porn star, the whore who let Gene Simmons and Bill Clinton go to town on her?
Lois admitted that those were things of the past, and that she had become a better person because of those experiences. However, Meg hadn't seen any improvement in her mother. Lois asked Meg who the perfect mother was if not her. Meg sneered and said that not only was Lois not perfect, but she was the least perfect person ever.
Oh, not only are you not the perfect mother, you're the furthest thing from.
She pointed out that from birth, she had no choice but to trust Lois, needing her protection and guidance through the vulnerable journey to adulthood.
You're my mother, and you took a child's trust and smashed it into bits in a 17-year-long mission to destroy something that you killed a long time ago. And honestly, when I turn 18, I don't know that I ever want to see you again.
Meg's heartfelt accusations pierced Lois's heart like 1,000 needles, and she began to tear up before bursting into tears, perhaps realizing just how terrible a mother she had been. Yes, Lois admitted that Meg was right and apologized.
So sorry, Meg. Can you ever forgive me? Oh, God.
And you never let Dad stir the paint anymore, whatever that means.
I didn't know you knew that, Meg, but I'm glad you brought it up.
Crying profusely because Meg's words were so accurate. She continued to acknowledge her faults and had no excuses. Lois said her only burning desire was to point out Meg's mistakes.
I'm so disgusted with my behavior, and I'm so sorry, Meg.
Yeah, you're a bitch.
Stewie's comment echoed my thoughts for Lois. Peter, feeling left out of the argument, could only entertain himself by betting on the big-headed, nearsighted girl to win. This joke annoyed Meg, who then turned her attention to her selfish father.
Oh, I'll tell you, Mr. Selfish-ass Dad.
Hey, that's Mr. Selfish-ass Dad to you, young lady.
Oh God, is she gonna do me next?
Don't worry, Stewie, she won't do that, calling Peter incredibly selfish and irresponsible as a father. Peter remained oblivious, acting as if nothing was happening. Meg continued, pointing out that Peter had no education, no hobbies, and did whatever reckless thing he wanted. Moreover, when he couldn't cause chaos in society with his impulsive actions, he would come home and torment his family.
You shove your daughter's face in your ass and you fart on it. If someone in the outside world could see the way you treat me, you would be in jail.
Listening to Meg's tirade, Peter found it amusing and enjoyed the chaos. Meanwhile, Meg kept attacking, calling Peter a fat, lazy old man who drank too much beer and didn't earn enough to support the family.
And look at us. We're a disaster.
Hey, watch it.
You're a total and complete embarrassment in every possible way. Take a good look at yourself, Peter Griffin. You're a waste of a man.
Finally, Peter realized Meg was criticizing him and asked Lois to tell her to stop, but Lois refused, reminding him that he had just sat there when Meg attacked her. Seeing her parents not paying attention to her, Meg shouted, "Is anyone listening to me?"
Have either of you guys been listening to me? Do you both just have your heads up your asses?
Dad did. Look, he's got crap on his ears.
That's unrelated.
Lois immediately criticized Chris, which annoyed him, leading him to complain about her cooking. The two began arguing, pointing out each other's faults, with the worst being when Chris got a stomachache from eating Lois's Brussels sprouts and cauliflower dish.
It's like an Irish bar fight down there.
You're from one town over, so I hate your guts.
Peter joined in, saying that Bonnie's cooking was better than Lois's. The heated argument only stopped when Chris mentioned that Peter, despite not liking Dan and yogurt, had eaten all of his. Meg pointed out Peter's selfishness and ignorance.
That's exactly what he does, because he's a selfish, fat idiot.
You shut up, all of you! I didn't ask to be in this family!
Now, only Meg and Brian were left in the living room. Brian tried to comfort Meg by saying she was cool for standing up to everyone, but Meg felt sad, saying that even though she spoke the truth, it made everyone tear each other apart like a pack of wolves. Brian said it wasn't her problem, but Meg asked if the family could survive without something to absorb all the flaws. She thought she was the piece that absorbed all the negativity, and maybe if she felt terrible, everyone else wouldn't. And you know what? Brian supported this idea.
Maybe if I feel bad, they don't have to.
Wow. You know, that's incredibly noble and mature, Meg. You know, I think you might be the strongest person in this house.
You mean that, Brian?
Absolutely.
This was one of the worst things Brian did, causing all of Meg's efforts in the episode to collapse completely. She went upstairs and found Peter crying in the closet. By this time, everyone was present and she began to take the blame. She said Lois was a wonderful mother, Chris was a good brother, and apologized to her father for hurting him. Everything went back to square one for Meg.
I'm sorry, you guys.
You're a bitch.
Yes. Yes, I am.
Embarrassed with family and friends in Season 9, Episode 9. The family was watching the news when Brian wanted to change the channel. Lois refused because her favorite new reporter, Joyce Kinney, was about to present the Child of the Month segment. The footage featured 8-year-old Angus Reed, who has cerebral palsy and dreams of becoming a renowned heart surgeon.
And this is April's Child of the Month, 8-year-old Angus Reed. Angus was born with cerebral palsy, and his only wish is to one day become a famous heart surgeon.
All I want to do is help people.
That afternoon, the family went to church to pray and managed to secure front row seats. Stewie reminded Lois to drink less communion wine, still haunted by the last time she got drunk and threw up on him.
Oh my God!
The priest asked everyone to sing hymns, and the congregation sang in unison. After the hymn, the priest asked everyone to sit and reminded them of the church's weekly activities and notices. Each time he spoke, Lois's laughter echoed, annoying the priest.
And another reminder, when you arrive to Mass, please do not park behind the rectory. As the Corinthians said to the Galatians, that's my land.
Stop kissing ass.
As everyone left, the priest stood at the door, wishing everyone well. Peter praised the priest and handed him a few dollars. When it was Lois's turn, she expressed her joy at hearing the priest's sermon. The priest thanked Lois for her contributions to the church. The endless conversation between Lois and the priest irritated Peter, who wanted to leave early.
Okay, Lois, bye. Bye, church. Bye, church guy. Bye, unending conversation. Bye, terrible church people. Bye.
Lois accidentally met Joyce Kinney at the supermarket and immediately ran to greet her. Lois expressed her admiration and praised Joyce for her excellent work. Joyce humbly thanked her and invited Lois to visit the studio after lunch. Lois happily agreed and arranged to meet Joyce there. On their way out of the supermarket, Stewie spotted a beautiful girl and quickly tried to attract her attention.
Oh, wait, Bilf. Total Bilf. Yeah, so going pretty good. I got 6 pacifiers now. That was a big nothing.
At the studio, Tom and Joyce were filming the day's news. Lois was thrilled to watch them live and complimented their professionalism. Joyce introduced Lois to Tom Tucker, whom Lois said she had known for a long time from watching the news, especially the segment on the history of the guillotine.
You know, half the time those things didn't really work.
How was it, honey?
They couldn't finish.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I gotta go back tomorrow.
Oh, well, I made cabbage for dinner.
Yeah, that would be the ending to this day.
Joyce took Lois on a tour of the studio and introduced her to the editor, Mike, who was known for smoking so much that the smoke obscured his face. Lois found Joyce's stories fascinating, and Joyce suggested they go out for drinks that evening to chat more. Lois was excited to hang out with a celebrity and compared Joyce to Miss Piggy.
Hey, Kermit, what happened to the bears in space sketch? Sorry, it's pigs in space now. There's been a change. What? There's been a change!
While the family was watching the TV show, Ellen only jumps into guests' mouths. Lois boasted about going out for drinks with a celebrity and told everyone to order pizza for dinner. Peter hated ordering pizza because they didn't speak English well and always messed up the order, like talking to the maids. Forgetful, slow, and time-consuming.
2,
5.
5. Oh, I see. 1, 1, 2, 5.
Yes, 1125. All right, now read the number back to me.
Let me get my pen.
At the bar, Lois and Joyce had a great time chatting. Joyce was sure Lois had some interesting secrets and encouraged her to share. Lois comfortably revealed she had once had an abortion, but Joyce wasn't interested in that and asked for more stories. Before sharing, Lois asked Joyce to keep it a secret and confessed that she had acted in a film during college.
That puts a lot of pressure on me. All right. Well, when I was in college, I was in an adult film.
Oh my God, you did a porno?
Lois said she had never told anyone, not even Peter, so Joyce promised to keep the secret to the grave and was curious to see the film, but unfortunately it had been lost like the ending of Grease.
You didn't know how to get it back down.
Look, Sandy, it seemed like a good idea at the time. Obviously, I didn't think ahead.
It's so cold. Let's cuddle together for warmth.
I'm warm enough.
The next evening, Lois was eager to watch the news because she had promised Joyce she would. The news segment was about pornography, and Lois was named in the report. Lois was shocked as Joyce detailed which films Lois had acted in and showed images of her in the film.
Evidently, Lois Griffin, star citizen of Quahog, is also Lois Griffin, star of Quest for Fur. It just goes to show you never know what sort of person is living next door.
Lois was furious and felt betrayed by Joyce. The family thought the news was a joke, but seeing Lois's reaction, they realized it was true.
She totally betrayed me. I thought girlfriends were supposed to support each other. Ha, slut.
She immediately stormed to the TV station and berated Joyce for humiliating her. Joyce remained calm and said it was payback. Lois was shocked because she had never done anything to harm Joyce. Joyce confessed that she was Lois's high school classmate and that Lois had ruined her youth by publicly shaming her in the gym.
When you took the blindfold off, I was standing in front of the entire school with my pants around my ankles and a hot dog in my mouth.
Lois, thinking it was all in the past, sincerely apologized for her actions and suggested they move on as adults. Joyce, however, was unmoved and told Lois to take it up with the station. Lois felt disappointed, thinking they could have been good friends.
Oh my God. I thought we were friends. The kind of really good friends that communicate with each other poorly through Facebook.
Back home, Lois explained her dark past to the family, detailing how she got involved in various vices. She revealed that her father had cut off her financial support due to her excessive spending, forcing her to pay for her own education. To fund her lifestyle and tuition, her boyfriend suggested she work at a pet store, but it wasn't enough, so she had to become an actress.
Good Lord! Am I a pawn, baby? No, Stewie, come on. I doubt it. I mean, maybe. Yeah, probably, yes.
At school, Chris was extremely annoyed when a group of friends, including Meg, teased him.
Yeah, Griffin, your mom's gross and nasty.
Hey! Not cool! That's a dude's mom.
Well, she's also my mom.
Oh, your mom's a whore!
Yeah, suck it! You're a whore daughter!
Yeah, Griffin gets it.
Lois wanted to pray to relieve her stress. However, upon entering the church, everyone looked at her with disdain, and as she walked by, they hurled insults at her.
Sinner.
Harlot.
Skank.
I'm actually sick.
Even the priest didn't welcome her despite her many contributions. Lois explained that she was now a devout Christian and loved the church, but the priest still expelled her for her past misdeeds.
But I love the church. It's an important part of my life.
Maybe you should have thought of that before you made a porn.
That night, Lois cried a lot, and Peter tried to comfort her, but she wanted to be alone. Brian came to console her, but she thought he was there to ask for a link to her film. Brian firmly replied that he wasn't there for that. He just wanted to say that the past couldn't be changed. But those people can only make you feel ashamed if you let them. If you have the choice, you can take away their power to shame you. Brian gave the example of how people used to tease Ryan Seacrest for being gay, and he started making fun of himself to the point where it wasn't funny anymore because he did it first.
My God, that little pole smoker's a genius.
The next morning at church, the priest was preaching when Lois walked in with her family. As she entered, everyone still showed their disdain, but Lois didn't care and began to make her points, citing the time Jesus dated Mary Magdalene.
Who did Jesus hang around with? Mary Magdalene. And who was she? A prostitute. Which means, if they had cameras back then, I bet she would have done a porno.
Meanwhile, the Griffin family was setting up the stage to prepare for a film screening. Lois's words convinced everyone to forgive her, asserting that her mistakes were minor, and they started showing the film she had acted in during college. Quagmire was stunned to see these new images of Lois for the first time. Everyone watched intently until the priest exclaimed, "Amazing, good job."
I know I'm a man of God, but that is hot.
Everyone stood up and cheered, except for Joyce, who sat with a furious expression, unable to do anything. Stewie was surprised to see an actor in the film who looked exactly like him.
Oh, look at that. See, now I'm really starting to get suspicious.
Somebody order a pizza?